time for Wednesday's hour number 2 on Hashtag Daily K with your host, Peter Bint. Korean dramas, movies, and even lyrics. Why is the world paying attention to Korean stories?
From classics to modern masterpieces, time to dig deep into the charms of Korean literature.
On Check It Out
with Paul.
It is a Wednesday. Is it the final Wednesday of August? No,
it is.
Oh,
it is the final Wednesday of August. Next week, I'll be in September.
In September? Yeah. Goodness gracious. I'm not ready for that, Paul. I'm happy with August, Paul.
Oh, no, I'm looking forward to September. Okay. I'm looking forward to those blue skies and the cool breezes and the smell of the ginkgo trees.
That would be lovely. It's been a bit wet recently.
It's been great.
Temperature-wise, good, right? But do you not feel sticky? Do you not get caught in the rain?
Today I was feeling especially sticky, but over the past few days when I've been indoors with the windows closed and the air conditioning on, I've been feeling pretty happy.
That's not bad at all. I had to switch on our dehumidifier yesterday because we had our washing drying. Well, it wasn't drying. That was the problem. It was getting wetter, I feel.
Well, this is the problem with the end of summer when we do have the occasional typhoon and the occasional rainstorm that, it does get a bit sticky and icky.
Icky. Getting on to today's book, I've previewed that it's a bit of poetry.
It's been a while. It's been the Sora Kim Russell month, but today we have no Sora Kim Russell. We have instead two fantastic translators, Chung Eun-Gwi and brother Anthony of Taize, and a brilliant poet by the name of Shim Bo-seon. Because autumn is on the way, because the weather is cooling down, and you're starting to feel that little chill in the air in the evenings. And I don't know about you, but for me, autumn, it brings the feelings of melancholy, the feelings of sadness, of sorrow, of regret.
Oh, you like a Korean guy, 가을 타는 남자, they say, right? Getting emotionally affected by the autumn.
You've not read part 3 again, have you?
Am I stereotyping and also ruining the spoiler?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well
I did it all in
Peter.
one. That's my job here. So is that the mood of this poetry?
It is. It's a little bit melancholy. It's called 15 Seconds Without Sorrow. 슬픔이 없는 15초.
Oh, that sounds quite sad in itself, right? Just 15 seconds without it. Okay.
Yes, but it is a beautiful collection of poetry. What's interesting is it focuses on the ordinary, on the everyday, and the feelings we experience as we take life one step at a time. It's not your high and mighty poetry. It's something a little bit different.
Oh, interesting. So Shim Bo-seon, have we featured the poet?
No, we have not. It's the first time for us. And he is very, very good. Born in Seoul in 1970. He studied at Seoul National University, went on to Columbia University in New York, and made his debut as a poet in the Chosun Ilbo Annual Spring Literary Contest in 1994. What's interesting is that though his debut was 1994, his debut book of poetry, his first collection, this one, in fact, wasn't published until 2008.
Wow, a long time afterwards. Okay.
Yes, but when it was published, he won the 16th Kim Jun-sung Literature Prize, the 11th Nojak Literature Prize in 2009. And he has been more prolific in recent years. He's got another 2 poetry collections that are out. He's now a professor of culture and art management at Kyung Cyber University. And the good news is it's not just this collection, but also his second collection of poems, Someone Always in the Corner of My Eye, has also been translated into English.
Oh, lovely. Maybe get our hands on that one in the future. And the translators, definitely Brother Anthony of Taize, I remember. Chung Eun-Gwi?
No, first time featuring her. She's the Associate Professor of the Department of English Literature at Hanguk University of Foreign Studies, Seoul. She actually got her PhD in the Poetics program at the State University of New York, and she is a writer, a scholar, a poet, and a translator. And
nice.
She collaborated with Brother Anthony, or An Sonje, as we know him in his Korean name, on this collection. And we have featured An Sonje before. He's been in Korea over 40 years.
Wow.
He's a veteran of Korea, and he's published over 30 volumes of translations since 1990. He is prolific. He is fascinating. He's a lovely human being. I've met him a few times, and he has the most fascinating stories because he's seen everything.
Yes.
He's done everything there is to do in Korea when it comes to tradition and culture. He taught at Sogang University for 30 years. He's won numerous awards for his translations, and he's even got the Jade Crown Award of Merit, and that's for his services to Korean literature from Korea in 2008. He's
Wow.
an MBE, a member of the British Empire, made that in 2015. He's a fascinating chap. If you ever get to meet him, say hello from me.
I will. I'd love to meet him. And his forte is poetry as well, right?
Yes, he started off just doing it with a dictionary line by line, and over the past 30 years, he's got better and better and more prolific.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to be doing, 3 separate poems today?
Yes, whenever we do poetry, that's normally the thing. So the first poem we've got is actually the title of the book. It's 15 Seconds Without Sorrow.
All right, let's get into this. Then we'll jump straight into a song and then take your messages and try and do a bit of analysis. I say try because I'm sure I'll fail. 15 Seconds Without Sorrow.
Above a distant high-rise apartment, the sun is beating its breast, at its wit's end beside the daytime moon. Where shame is concerned, the world went to the dogs long ago. Sometimes, about 15 seconds pass without sorrow. Offering every possible excuse, paths are bending everywhere. The silence gathering on dusky sidewalks hopes to grow older there by the second. As they grow older, all beings leak when it rains. All old beings that leak dream of love, like installing a new roof. Everyone knows whatever happens was bound to turn out as it did. One afternoon, as the sun is squeezing out light with all its might, the past goes walking backward and falls headlong over the apartment railings. The future follows immediately after. The present being simply a flower's day being the time it takes a flower to bloom and fall, is sad. A cat is happily nibbling flower petals. A woman is sipping chamomile tea. They seem quiet and peaceful. I stand aimlessly in the middle of the street. A man passes by on a bicycle, weeping. He is a human being destined to fall in the end. The dream garden in my head where dizziness is in full bloom. Now, about 15 seconds have passed without sorrow. I should set off somewhere, but no matter where, ultimately, it's a disappearing path.
Yana from Malaysia got in touch, Paul, saying, remember last week I said I read a book titled At Least We Can Apologise?
Yes.
I finished it. It makes me see different perspectives of how our wrongdoings seem heavier when someone points it out, or else we just usually ignore our wrongdoings, especially the smaller ones. The story was tragic because it's actually about 2 disabled people going on their lives by apologising for other people's mistakes. I'll be browsing Sir Paul's tweet for my next read this week as well, and we'll get to the book soon.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Yana. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I have to read that myself. And I'm glad that my tweets inspire you. I'm on book 259 this year.
Goodness gracious, you've got a lot to choose from then, Yana. And it's quite good timing because we were talking about the Paralympics getting going this week as well. So hopefully you can tune in there, Yana.
Yes, I've got Sophie commenting on the poem saying, the writer remembering a bad past, unfulfilled love, unspoken regrets, and loneliness.
Oh.
Very, very true. Spot on.
That's what you got from it. Well, Kay said the writer may be simply observing the everyday things around him. I like the way that he brings in the garden theme by observing interactions of the cat playing with the peels.
The petals.
The petals. There is a typo there. And chamomile tea drinkers.
Did you not read the poem, Peter?
I was following along, but I will admit I got a bit lost. And I liked, what I did like about it was, this is all the observations. And as a poem, maybe reading it was much longer than 15 seconds. But that's all happening maybe in this short time window, all these things around them.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really love it because it is like these moments when we are in the present, when sorrow disappears and suddenly we're just living.
Yeah.
You know, because one of the blessings and the curses of being human is we recognize the past and the future.
Yes.
If you're an animal, you live in the now. Sorrow is not an option. You just carry on.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, it's not true. So for me, it's really beautiful, really melancholic. This combination of these sad thoughts alongside, as Kay was mentioning, these everyday actions, the cat and the woman sipping tea. And Shim, the poet, he captures the mundane. He's turning it into something not just ordinary, but something more beautiful because he's contrasting it with the pain of living.
Yes, that contrast often can help and hinder, I believe, human beings. And I don't know, I'm really interested in that kind of mindfulness practice and stuff like that. And also stoicism, which I think originated with people back in the day comparing their lives to the worst possible scenarios, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that can help, yeah.
Well, it's life is a contradiction in terms. It's a paradox. And so he's speaking of longing, he's speaking of desire, but he's also being fatalistic. He knows there's no hope. At the end of the poem, he says, I'm setting off on a disappearing path. But if we are in the present, then for a few seconds, there is beauty in the world, just like a flower's day that takes the time, a flower blooms and falls. So we want to be happy all the time, but I think Shim is recognizing the universal truth that life is a roller coaster. We have to take the ups and downs as they come. And for me, it's handled really masterfully.
Yeah, and that also links back to the contrast, right? You've got to have downs to have the ups, otherwise everything would just seem the same. You need
what a
the
boring
contrast.
life that would be.
Absolutely. Raoul says, it seems like this guy is just like me in slow mode, like always. I'm just observing people and their actions. I can sit in the main square and do that all day long.
Yeah, look, I agree. But it is something beautiful if we can do that. If we can forget about our troubles and our worries, if we can forget about yesterday and tomorrow and just be, as you say, practicing that mindfulness of just existing in the moment.
Yeah.
It's really special.
Yeah, just observing. That's the key to that practice, I've heard. Leon saying, don't worry, Peter, about poetry. I'm always lost with it as well. I can only feel the emotions through Paul's readings, and that's why we have him on the show. And Siska's saying, yeah, always kind of lost with the poems. What caught my attention? Only the chamomile tea, because I love it.
So do I, Siska, so do I.
That's the perfect accompaniment, I think, to both poetry and being mindful, like a nice slow cup of tea. It doesn't have that, I guess, boost that coffee maybe has. We're going to get on to our second poem.
Yes, this one is called A Rumour I Cannot Deal With. I am a rumour about myself. I am an ominous word that death whispers in life's ear. I live in fear and trembling. My demeanor is dark as pitch. It is the future that always comes, even when it does not seem to be coming. The future always emerges from somewhere like a monkey and holds out its hand. It's extremely unpleasant. I much prefer to avoid it. The things that passed through my heart long ago seem to have gathered somewhere to form a bright, round nation. There walks sunshine. Songs and moonlight will be connected with fine gold threads. Everyone will have a graceful shadow bestowed on them by a giraffe. They will speak using nothing but easy and transparent words. Making a fuss will be the only tragic situation. Beneath life's fragile sky, that might shatter like rice puffs at the slightest touch, there is nothing that I have given birth to, fed and raised. Absolutely nothing. How on earth did these poor things get their names? So, what on earth should I do? This rumor circling about my ears, droning, unending, saying that I am alive. What on earth should I do about it?
It's getting deeper and more confusing. A rumor I cannot deal with. He is the rumor. The rumor is saying that he is alive. What does this mean? Does this mean he's kind of questioning his existence?
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's one I was asking myself all of yesterday. This is the sort of poem that just goes round and round and round in your brain, and if you're not careful, you can get sucked into its spiraling confusion. The rumour, I think, is that he is alive.
Okay.
But this is also the rumour that death whispers to the living, you are alive.
In a kind of sinister way.
Yeah, because there's that old adage, there's only two things for certain in this world.
Yeah.
Death and taxes. And Shim, he knows that death is coming. I mean, he doesn't want to think about it, but it's always there surrounding him.
Like a monkey.
Exactly, holding out its hand going, come on, come on. And death is holding out the hand to him. He's trying to avoid that hand. But at the same time, he's thinking, well, I've not given birth to anything. I've not maybe created anything of value. And I don't know about you, but this is something I think a lot of people worry about.
Yes.
Like, what is our legacy? What gives our life meaning? And what are we going to leave behind when we leave this earth?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to think about. And yeah, it can be a bit distressing to do so.
Yeah, I mean, you're fine. You've got kids. You're leaving the kids behind.
That, I believe, is the easy way out. I think that's why I had kids, because I was like, I don't want to think about that. Let's just pop these out and they can worry about what to leave behind.
Yeah, because a bit of you will carry on. I don't have kids. I've got cats. And we
Yes.
are not genetically related.
You hope.
So I'm asking my question, what is it for me? What am I going to leave behind? Because radio, for example, is ephemeral.
Yes.
You listen and then you go on to the next day and the next show.
Sure.
Theatre is ephemeral. You watch the show and then you go on and watch another. So I don't know, but I think Shim is tapping into this feeling. And he represents us. We're all tormented by this rumour that is going round our heads.
Yeah.
And so I understand the pain that he's in. I don't know about you, but I think for all of us, there comes a point in our lives when we finally realise and recognise we are mortal. When we're kids, we think, we'll live forever. You know? Yeah, Granddad died, but he was 80. That's like ages away.
It's decades away.
Yeah, but the moment we realise that our mortality is real, it lives with us constantly.
Yeah.
And we have to find a way to cope with the truth. Because the opposite of the rumour, you are alive, is, well, you will die.
I think that's part of it as well, part and parcel. And it is something that I think all humans don't really want to talk about, right? It's extremely unpleasant, he says. I much prefer to avoid it.
Yeah.
But it's unavoidable at the end. Very deep and meaningful.
I'm in London.
I'm in Australia.
Tokyo.
The Philippines.
Finland, Indonesia,
New York.
Arirang Radio.
now live in Seoul.
Today, as ever, nothing changes here. The sun rises and sets, glowing red as shame. I am living in a daze as usual. Memories of a wasted youth sometimes burst into tears inside my head, but I just smile. Since I was born, destined to smile, I smile. Once I smile, the fierce past turns meek as a lamb. Recently, so many words have been coming to mind. Last night, I wrote in my diary, a series of mistakes is like dividing a deadly error several times. After writing that, I smiled. Language is peaceful in form, so that the most terrible confession makes a happy dream. I cannot remember what I dreamed last night, but I firmly believe it was a happy dream. I feel so pathetic. But now life's agony has become a genre. Its narrative development is very clear. Since I only enjoy the darkness, I quietly urge the light my eyes dislike. Would you mind growing dark? Then close my eyes. And so I spend my days. At this moment, outside the window, happiness is fluttering pettily like an outdated advertisement. On seeing how the roads beneath it have forgotten their essence and become so crowded, the pages of my mind crumple, and I groan.
That poem titled A Letter. What is happening here, Paul? The happiness outside the window.
Not coming in. At least not today.
It's very up and down, though. Like, for a while in the middle there, I thought, oh, this is seeming good. It was a happy dream. The fierce past turned meek as a lamb by smiling, kind of overcoming it like that. But yeah, maybe the happiness is not within reach?
No, at least not today. And for me, it feels like this is, out of these three poems, this is sort of closure for Shim. He's come to accept where he is in life. He wants to be happy. He thinks that he's destined to smile, but it's not always possible. Sometimes happiness is outside the window. And it feels like a meditation on life. He's combating the traumas of his past. He tries to close his eyes to the agony he suffers, and all of this is happening in his apartment. All of this is so commonplace. He's not a hero. He's not really a victim. He's just an ordinary guy who has to find a way to keep on living.
Well, that is the big struggle that maybe we don't talk about too often when we're having a coffee with our friends and things like this. And yeah, maybe it's that mundane that can be the most devastating part about someone's life. Leon issuing this statement, which is quite interesting. That's why maybe comedians as well, they have the saddest jobs to make others smile while no one really knows how they are feeling inside. Yeah. I've heard some comedians are very much like that, right? Very different when they're off stage.
Well, there's the old joke, a clown comes to see the psychiatrist and says, please help me, I'm so depressed. And the guy says, look, don't worry. Tonight, take some money out of your bank account, go and see the great Grimaldi. He will make you laugh. Yeah. And the clown says, but I am the great Grimaldi.
Sophie getting in touch saying, life goes on no matter what, all will fall in place in time. The writer may be healing himself through his surroundings, enjoying the atmosphere. Time will maybe heal the old wounds, and time is maybe the essence in the writer's life. Maybe in all our lives, perhaps.
Yes, Tropic Girl saying, wow, spiraling confusion indeed. Thinking about the usefulness of life in reference to the second poem. When you're young too, you live crazy and adventurous lives and you don't worry about death. But yes, the older you get, you start appreciating your life and the people in it more and more. And Raoul's saying, if you die, just game over. And if you leave money, it's for your family.
Nice and simple. And you also say that happiness is in the common little details of an ordinary life. Maybe a song, a meal, a laugh, some work, sharing and caring.
I think Raoul's got it sorted.
Yes, very nice and simple. I love the way you think, Raoul, and it's rubbing off on me. Today, then, I ruined it already, but we're talking about the autumn time and getting sentimental. That's a big thing here, stereotypically, for men, right?
Yeah, men. No girls allowed.
We say kar tada, literally meaning to ride autumn, but it means you're getting emotional because of the seasons.
Yeah, traditionally in Korea, for women, it's the spring when they get sadder. But yes, for us guys, when the leaves are turning golden brown, we get melancholy and wistful. But, I mean, it may not be true for everyone, but certainly for me, when I see nature dying down for the winter, I do start to think about my own mortality, and I do start to think about the issues and problems in my life, and I do start to read more poetry.
Oh, you definitely are a literature expert. I don't get any vibes. I'm just like, oh, the colours look nice.
Okay, you're going to die, Peter. We're all going to die.
I'm like Raoul. Everything's so simple. Nice leaf.
Yeah, but I think also this is why Shim's poetry has been so well received here in Korea, because he is just this ordinary guy. He's not some important scholar. He's not a king. He's not writing about mythic mountains. He's just a guy in an apartment living an ordinary life. And there are lots of people living in apartments here who can empathize with the plight in his poetry.
Definitely.
And I should say, I know some people wanted happy poetry, but with sad poetry, it doesn't necessarily make you sad. I really believe that this kind of poetry can be cathartic, that when we read these sad stanzas, that helps us to find the brightness in our own lives.
Sure, and even, again, as we said earlier, the contrast, right? You need a little bit of a lull and a dip, and that'll make your next moment of joy all that more vibrant, like it could be from just a nice cup of coffee.
Exactly.
Like,
we have to take the little things in life as they come, and we have to appreciate them. And it is true, it could be a cup of coffee, or as Raoul said, laughing or sharing, caring, having a meal with family. All these things can make our day. Yesterday, I made a chicken and mushroom pie, and it was delicious, and it made me happy.
That sounds quite grand. I've never made a chicken and mushroom pie. Next time, let's share. Remember, Raoul did say sharing and caring.
I was sharing with my wife.
Well, you know, I'm like a Wednesday wife, am I not?
Oh, that's true. Darling, I'll make it for our date night.
Thank you. We have Inez Finez on V Live saying the background music in your voice, it's just wow.
Oh, thank you.
Shizat also saying your voice, wow, getting goosebumps. And yeah, I think getting into the vibe, soaking yourself into these moods as well is so good on a Wednesday. So I'm sure we didn't bring anyone down too much, right?
Yeah, and look, the great thing about this Wednesday segment is next week there's going to be a different book. It could be poetry, it could be a novel, it could be short stories, it could be fairy tales, maybe next week. Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. Cam saying, yes, Paul, you are going to die. We're all going to die. A rather morbid statement, but as we were mentioning earlier, something we have to face up to, and as we get older, I think we face up to a little bit more, and I think that also helps us enjoy the time we have left, right?
Yeah, I think we appreciate these moments, especially when the seasons change. And I feel it really now as we're getting this cooler weather, as we're getting the autumn rains coming in. I'm like, this is my favourite time of year.
Oh.
I might feel sad, but I like it. I like this change. I appreciate this change. And I know I only have a certain number of autumns left. You know, I'm hoping it's 40. If I'm lucky, it's 50.
Yes.
But there's only a certain number of times I can experience this, so each time it becomes more and more precious.
Yeah, and we often talk about that as well, figuratively, right? The autumn of one's life and whatnot.
I'm not there yet, Peter.
Of course not. You're still in the spring, you little chicken.
No, I'm late summer.
Thank you very much, as ever, for your beautiful readings, Paul.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone. Thanks, as always, to the Korean Literature Translation Institute for their help with copyright permission for this broadcast. Thank you to Shim Bo-seon for his wonderful poetry, and to Chung Eun-Gwi and Brother Anthony for their beautiful translation. As always, I will be back next week with another book, I promise.
Look forward to it. Don't get drenched if it is raining on your way out, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Goodbye!
You can listen to Check It Out with Paul Matthews on Arirang Radio's #DailyK every Wednesday from 10 a.m. KST.